one quick question, because everybody wants to know the answer to this every single week. I put on Twitter, because I don't know about you, but I'm a little exhausted about this Cam stuff. And it seems to me every time the team comes up short, there's going to be a pocket of people that jump to Twitter immediately and say, oh, this one's on Cam. He can't throw the ball 10 yards. And listen, I know he short hopped a couple of throws to N'Keal Harry in the fourth quarter. I saw those throws just like everybody else saw those throws. But Greg, if you're trying to pin this loss on Cam in any kind of way, you're excusing a lot of other crap that happened. I think you had a lot more, you had a lot more going on than Cam on Sunday. And I thought, all in all, he wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. He's pretty much what you expected. And, if you can defend the middle of the field, if you execute better, then we're not even talking about Cam. We're talking about how Cam helped this team win.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I do understand some of the talk about, like, if you have a really good quarterback, then they bail you out. And maybe, right. So what is this, the fifth time they've been in this position, and they're 1-4?
Yeah.
And maybe a better quarterback, a franchise guy, maybe takes 3 out of 5, maybe comes through. But I didn't have a ton of huge complaints. I mean, about Cam. I thought he got off to a really good start in the second half, and then, down the stretch, I had him for, he threw high to James White, he threw low to N'Keal Harry, he threw low to N'Keal Harry, he threw wide to N'Keal Harry, and sometimes he's late. He did make some upper level throws in that game in the second half, but generally, I think you're right. Like, I haven't had a huge problem this year with Cam, and I think that some of the conversation about Cam, number one, most of it's sour grapes over Brady. They're just bitter. They're looking for somebody to blame.
Well,
and
maybe
Newton's the new guy.
Maybe those people watched the game last night and saw Brady throw 2 horrendous picks on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, they're bitter, and they don't want to see. It puts them in a pickle, and you get this a lot with Patriots fans, is that they don't. They can't. So if you're not happy Brady's not here, but you don't want to put any blame on Belichick ever, then what are you supposed to do? You're gonna trash the quarterback, because instead of saying, well, Bill didn't build enough good enough roster after Brady, he let Brady get away, all of those things. And then I do think, Nick, to be quite honest with you, and I see this on my Twitter feed, and I've had to mute some people, I think that some of this Cam criticism around here is racist. Yeah. I really do. I think it's nobody says it, and there's no buzzwords, and there's no evidence that you can point to. But I think that is part of it, and that bothers me. I wish it was a little bit more blatant. It's not, but I do think that's part of the conversation around here. Nobody, in specific. This is mostly on Twitter that I hear from people who are just from the get-go have been against Cam because they think he's this and that.
Yep.
Or which is basically code for he's too black to be the quarterback for their team. And,
I mean,
I'm sorry, but I just think that's true.
I said this on EEI last week a couple of times. I get the feeling that the opinions on Cam, they're baked in. And for the people that have baked those opinions in, before he even stepped on the field, I was taking phone calls on EEI talking about how he's a head case, he's a cancer, he's soft, he sulks, he does this, he does that. And I could tell those people until I'm blue in the face, no, listen, I've watched a lot of Cam. Like, I've seen a lot of him play because of my day gig in Virginia, right? I've watched him play a heck of a lot more than people in New England have. Doesn't mean I'm better than you. It just means that I focus on some things that you don't really care about. You care about the Patriots, and that's what you should care about. But I'm watching a lot of these other games, and I've seen a lot of Cam. And as much as I could tell people, no, you're taking these snapshots, these polarizing snapshots, and you're trying to base your judgment of him off of a couple of snapshots. If you watch this guy and you listen to him and you listen to his teammates across the board who have loved him, you're the picture that you're painting of Cam Newton could not be any further from the truth. And that started it. And then when you see some of the throws, and again, I'm not telling you the guy is flawless, because then you get into this game of, well, Nick, he made this throw. And I understand. I understand he has warts. He's never been precise from the pocket. He's never going to be that guy that's going to stand back there and make every throw look easy. He's never been that guy. He will never be that guy. If you go in with reasonable expectations of Cam Newton, I think for the last month, he's pretty much what you expect him to be. The problem is the rest of this team gives you zero margin for error. And if you need Cam to put a Superman performance on out there, I don't think that's going to happen with the pass game because A, Cam doesn't have it right now as much as he had it back then, and he's not going to be able to say, hey, jump on my back, fellas. And B, he doesn't have the Johnnies and Joes to help him get there to have that Superman performance. So I just think it's the easy, lazy narrative to go after the quarterback, and I just see way too much of it. And if you go after Cam, you're excusing the awful defensive game plan. You're excusing McDaniels, in my eyes, not using Harris enough. You're excusing the lack of weapons because of what Belichick did with this offense and not getting a veteran tight end. I mean, you're excusing a lot of things that happened on Sunday that meant more to that game than Cam's performance. And that's ridiculous. Cam was actually one of the good things to me that happened on Sunday. Everything else, most of everything else was a dumpster fire. I mean, Damiere Byrd, you can point out and say, great. You can point out and say, Cam played well. That's pretty much it. N'Keal Harry got involved a little bit. Zippity-doo. You know, maybe you say that. But overall, you know, to point at Cam, it's just ridiculous. All right.
Well, Nick, just one thing on that.
Sure.
And it's also, and again, it goes to people not wanting to point the finger where it belongs because, you know, for some reason they can't do both things. They can't. I don't know. I've always been the type of fan where, hell yeah, I'm going to criticize my team.
Yep.
Like it's my team. I've earned the right to criticize them. So I can cheer for them louder than anybody when they do great, you know, whether it's the Red Sox or you know, when growing up doing all this stuff. But you know, when they're crappy, I get to say that as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, if their failure to point the finger, and this is what I wrote my column off of the game, because basically if you boil it down to last year, the Patriots largely got their doors kicked in down in Houston. This year, the Patriots largely got their doors kicked in by Deshaun Watson. They had a little bit more success consistently offensively, but last year was 21-3 at one point. This time it was 21-10. Like, you know, Brady was the quarterback last year. He couldn't do jack crap until the game was out of reach, and they made a comeback at the end. You know, Cam Newton's the quarterback now. You know, what does that tell you that basically the same result just happened against the same team in the same place? To me, that tells you just like last year, because this was the beginning of the end. The Houston loss started the 4-5 finish to the season. This concludes a 4-6 start to the season. What does that tell you? This roster is not good enough overall. Stop pointing fingers at Cam Newton and other people for Bill Belichick's obvious failings. This team is not good enough right now. It has little to do with Cam, I'm telling you. And also some of those plays, you know, when Cam gets sacked on that 1st and 10 play, Brady would get sacked there. You know, that outlet to James White where the play is designed, it wouldn't have worked when Brady was not here because Ryan Izzo couldn't block his way out of a paper bag. Like, stop whistling by the graveyard and point the finger where it's deserved. Like, if you're a true fan, then you're honest about this team. And what it is, almost a year, because last year was like December 1st, almost a year to the date. This team is now, what? That makes them 8-11 since they went to Houston last year. Something along those lines. My math might be right, but something along those lines. What does that tell you? With two different quarterbacks, it tells you the team is not good enough. Period. End of discussion.